Documents show that Christopher Steele confessed to the FBI that he leaked the false Russian collusion narrative in order to try to help Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign against Donald Trump. The document states, quote, Steele and Burroughs, who was Steele's partner, described President Trump as their main opponent and indicated they were fearful that Trump's presidency might negatively affect the historic U.S. alliance with the U.K. and their special relationship. Well, among the documents secured by Just the News editor-in-chief John Solomon, now Christopher Steele's admission that he chose his allegiance to Hillary Clinton over his work with the FBI. The FBI notes further, revealing, quote, Steele explained that as the election season went on, they, as a company, were riding two horses, their client, Hillary Clinton, and the FBI. And after FBI Director James Comey's reopening of the Hillary Clinton investigation as the election approached, they had to pick one horse and choose the business-client relationship over the relationship with the FBI. They followed what their client wanted, and they spoke to the press. Solomon is now reporting the FBI opened an investigation in 2014 into a foreign power's efforts to influence Hillary Clinton. 2014. But that investigation was, well, it was stonewalled by FBI leadership. Its seventh floor. An FBI employee wrote to then Director James Comey in April of 2015, quote, the FISA application has remained in limbo for the last 4 months, even though subsequent investigative activity by Redacted provided additional probable cause for the FISA application. So instead of a FISA warrant, the FBI gave Clinton a defensive briefing. Entirely different the way in which they handled false Russia collusion claims against presidential candidate Donald Trump. Why? Well, we know the answer. Hillary Clinton was their preferred candidate. John Solomon, editor-in-chief of Just the News, best-selling author, and he has breaking news on the FBI's efforts to investigate a foreign money plot against Hillary Clinton. John, good to see you. What can you tell us?
Well, listen, one of the most interesting things is looking at the contemporaneous documents. There were people inside the FBI, lead agents in the field, who were developing this evidence that a foreign power wanted to give large sums of money to Hillary Clinton to help her campaign in an effort to curry favor. And they became enormously frustrated. 4 months passed after they filled out their FISA application and nobody was getting back to them. One of the agents became so bold as to write directly to Director James Comey and ask, what's going on here? My guys are upset, and we want to get this tool. In fact, we found more evidence since we filed the FISA. What are you doing? And James Comey claimed ignorance. I don't know what's going on here, he said, but I'll try to get smart about it. What we learned is that from all the documents we've seen, they didn't do the FISA, and instead they went to Hillary Clinton instead, gave her a defensive briefing saying, hey, could be a foreign power, be careful where you take your money. The sort of thing they didn't do for Donald Trump. Donald Trump never got a defensive briefing on Russia. He did get a FISA, and as they now know, was based on false information.
Yeah, we wouldn't, I don't know if we should say he got a FISA. He was FISA'd, whereas Hillary Clinton wasn't.
That's right.
The foreign power. Which foreign power?
We don't know. And sadly, the documents leave out the name of the foreign power.
I'm willing to speculate. I'm willing to speculate.
Yeah?
Well, I'm trying to think of that country which seemed to have benefited most while she was Secretary of State. I'm thinking of that country that somehow managed to gain control of 20% of our uranium reserves. That's the one I'm thinking of.
I know Russia would be a natural one to think about. Ukraine's another one you might think about. She had a lot of financial donors there. China's another one you think about. I'm told China and Russia are not the country, but other countries will not. They won't confirm or the country. And I'm still reporting on that. We'll try to get to the bottom of that over the next few days.
I would like to know why there was no investigation. And by that I mean a real and constructive investigation by the FBI into Uranium One. that still
Yeah.
remains a huge mystery. The declassification of the document, Steele's overt statement that he was working for
Right.
Hillary Clinton, the FBI knew that. They knew that
They did.
in 2017. And
And
they
in
knew that,
2016, all right.
created the special counsel. Well, I think so too, because they were part
Yeah.
of the first attempts to frame General Michael Flynn. So they were on a
Right.
mission already. Your point is exact.
Yeah.
My question here is, the FBI knew it, the Justice Department knew it, the intelligence chiefs knew it, and they combined and acted in concert to destroy first the candidacy of Donald J. Trump and then his presidency. And we have witnessed this, we have known these documents further corroborated, and there isn't a single soul among those corrupt officials who've been held accountable, and not anyone in the left-wing national media, as far as I know, has put those facts before their readers, their listeners, and their viewers and users, and said, this
Yeah.
is the truth, and what we carried to you in giant buckets from 2016 and 2017 on was a lie. Why not?
Yeah, there's a conspiracy of silence, and I think the news media is ashamed of its reporting, so they just moved on and pretend it didn't happen. And I think that's unfortunate. We're learning some new things in these documents, even as we speak. The FBI was aware that Hillary Clinton's inner circle was working on a Russia collusion narrative as early as April 2016, way earlier than we thought. We've always been told July was sort of the
Yes.
ignition date.
Right.
We now learn in these documents,
Exactly.
April, Cody Scherer, one of the inner members of the Clinton advisory team, was putting together a lot of the salacious stuff that later became part of Steele's dossier. In April, he gives it to a State Department official gives it to Steele, and then there's an effort to try to acquire or buy a tape from Russia. Christopher Steele even thought that was going to be a trap. He thought that was a setup, and there. But the extent to which the Clinton team was trying to create a false narrative about Donald Trump, it showed very few bounds.
John Solomon, thank you for all of your work throughout the past 4 years. As we have all in this country witnessed a president subverted, his agenda blocked and opposed at every turn by the deep state, the Democrat Party, and with absolute abandon for integrity, for honesty. It's a shame what we have permitted to happen to a great president, but it would be as tragic for even a middling president. It's a shame that this Republican Party didn't have the guts, the will, the principle to stand up. Shame on the leadership of the Republican Party. Shame on all of those who could have made a difference, who chose to avert their eyes. John Solomon, luckily, the nation had you. We appreciate it. And
Thank you,
still
sir.
got you. Stay with us. Thanks so much. Stay with us. We have much more on the Obamagate. We'll be talking with Kash Patel.